Welcome, everybody, to the Healing Place podcast. I am your host, Teri Wellbrock. Excited to have with me today Donna Jenson. And she is here to talk about, the amazing stuff that she is doing in the world. So welcome, Donna.
Great to be here, Teri.
So, yeah, tell us about all you're doing. I know you're doing a one-woman play, correct?
Yes, my play is What She Knows, One Woman's Way Through Incest to Joy.
And your book's titled
Healing My Life from Incest to Joy. Yes.
Okay.
They've got a similar ring to them.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. So what's on your agenda? What have you been up to?
Well, the most present thing that's happening is Saturday. I'm starting my first. I've been leading writing workshops for survivors for about 10 years. And I've just started doing it online, which is a big stretch for me. I'm not from the cyber generation.
Right.
So this is, it took a little coaxing from my posse. I have a posse of friends and colleagues who give me a lot of support in the work I do. And they'd really been, especially the younger generation, really saying, this could happen so well, would be great, blah, blah, blah. And I kept saying, I can't do this, I know. But I have a fabulous assistant, Kat White, who's so savvy and much, much younger than I. So of course she's so savvy. So we did a pilot in sort of February, March, and I was shocked how we were able to connect, and it's all audio. There's no video.
Okay.
And it's just such a big change for me, but I like when I do that, kind of stretch a little, makes life interesting.
So is it a webinar, or is it like an online course that people take?
It's an online writing circle, and it's for survivors of sexual abuse and assault. And and we write together, and I give prompts and offer up. We only give positive feedback in the writing, but we write in the moment together and then read our writing to each other. And sort
wow.
of our authorial voices, so to speak. So,
yeah, how powerful.
Yeah, it is. It really is. Yeah.
Being a writer myself, I know that, getting it out there, and whether it's blogging or my Facebook posts, my poor friends and family, they get the full, Teri dumping it out there. But it's amazing how many people that I've connected to who have reached out to me, mostly privately, say, "Oh my God, me too," or I experienced this, and by my putting my story, and I just had. A whole bunch of people reach out. I put something out about my mother fell off the wagon. She's 83 years old, stopped drinking last year, almost made it a year, went 10 months sober, the longest she's ever gone in my life.
Wow.
And then on Valentine's Day, she crashed and burned. And so I just kind of put like, blah.
Yeah.
And so the response has been amazing and supportive, but so many people saying, yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
So what a gift you're giving others, survivors.
Well, I believe writing is one of the modes of healing that I've experienced. I've gotten a chunk of healing through the act of writing and reading my writing to others long before I ever even dreamed of putting it out in the world, So like the first chapter of my book is writing as medicine. And that's really why I do the groups, the writing groups. It's for survivors to have that as a way of getting some healing. So
yes. And it's beautiful. And I'm just telling the audience, you need to get on Donna's website and just hook up to her blog, because I love your blog.
Thank you.
I love reading it, and you just write in such a real way. It's the word that pops into my head. I just connect with your words, and I love it. So yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. very gifted.
Well, it's interesting because I have a working class background, and I haven't lost that voice. And I think it comes out in my writing. It's, it's very grounded, and it's mostly I'm just talking to my girlfriends, and to I have boys, the men who are friends too. So it's like I'm talking to my friends when I'm writing.
Yes. Yeah. And I do the same, and I've been told the same, but I just kind of just like similar to this podcast, a conversation between friends approach, same sort of thing in my writing, like just real. Yeah. Yeah. And that's probably why I so connect with you, because I'm like, oh my gosh, I get it.
Right. Indeed.
Beautiful. So how do people sign up for this? How can they find it?
I haven't done a lot of advertising yet, because I'm just getting started. So I put it on my website, and I've reached out to my writing, my newsletter list of people.
Okay.
But there are other organizations that are starting to say, let us know, because we want to promote it, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I don't know if I'm ready for too many people to call up. I don't know. But
you can do it.
I know. So the group I'm starting, actually, this Saturday runs through the middle of June.
Okay.
And then I'll probably take the summer off and not do anything, but have fun. And then start up another, it's Saturday morning. It's a group every other week. But I'll probably, by putting it out to more places, that it's going to happen. Because I'm also getting this feeling about having a drop-in group of writing. So like, if you just want, to just drop in and maybe write a little and see, and then you got other things to do. You don't want to sign up for a whole set of sessions. So that might happen for the summer. I don't know yet. So
yeah, just kind
baby
of
steps here. Yeah.
Right. And your website is timetotell.org.
Timetotell.org, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I'll have that listed here for video folks who tune in on the video. So
good. Thank you so much.
No problem. So are you doing your play? I think when we had talked on the phone, you had done one in New York, or?
Yes, up in Albany in December. I did a performance there's this collaborative between the New York State Coalition Against Sexual Assault and a group called Many Hands, which is an association of mental health organizations. And the two of them, the two women, it's always two women within these organizations, right? And so Deborah Faust at Many Hands, and Chris, I'm forgetting her last name. Forgive me, Chris. Anyway, so they decided, they have an annual conference, and they decided, instead of getting a keynote speaker, that they would have me do my play. And it was so amazing, because everybody in the audience, I don't know, there were like 75, 80 people. Everybody in the audience is serving the issue of sexual assault and abuse. And surprise, surprise, there's a ton of survivors in the audience. So we just had a love fest. It was wonderful. They responded so deeply to the work, and the dialogue. I always have a dialogue with the audience afterwards, and it was yummy.
Yeah.
And then
Great word.
then we had lunch, and then some people went into a ACEs, the ACEs Adverse Childhood Experience survey and work that's happening in the world. You know about that.
Right. Oh yeah, ACEs science.
So they got an ACEs information workshop, and then I also offered a writing workshop for any survivors that wanted to test out the writing methodology I do. And so 30 people showed up for the writing workshop, but we had a great time. We just ended up breaking them up in small groups, and then we closed the day with Chris doing a drumming circle, and she had like 20 drums, and it was amazing. So
I keep hearing that about drumming circles. So a friend of mine was like, Teri, you have to go.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's really remarkable. And especially at the close of a very, sort of a day where you're diving deep into whatever you're diving deep into. And it's just a wonderful sort of releasing of, feeling and good vibes, literally good vibes.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
that's what I've heard, is that there's such a healing aspect to like the rhythm, and there's just a release that happens.
Yeah. So I said to Chris, I wish I could have your drumming circle after every one of my performances. Donna, do you realize what it means to transport 30 drums?
Right.
Bongos and all kinds, but we're going to figure it out because I want to see it happen again.
Yeah, but what a cool idea, instead of having a keynote speaker to,
I was thrilled.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it.
And I have a guitarist who accompanies me in my performance. So that makes it really wonderful and helpful too. The music really helps people as they go through the different emotions that I make them go through when they come, from all the whole spectrum of emotions you're going to have. I mean, that's what theater's about. So
I know. Do you want to share your personal journey at all?
Well, sure. I'm happy to. Let's see. How can I say this? So I grew up in the Midwest in an alcoholic household. My dad was my abuser. It started about the age of 7 and the sexual abuse continued until I was 12. The emotional and psychological abuse continued until he died when I was in my mid-40s. My mother was my savior because she was the good one, but it wasn't until I was in my 30s that I started dealing with healing, with, coming out and healing from it, healing actively, let's put it that way, because I think there are ways that I was healing sort of clandestinely. I didn't know I was doing some healing, like leaving home at the age of 18. I think that was a really smart thing I did to get out of that toxic environment.
Yes.
I started dealing with my stuff in my early 30s, and it wasn't until I'd been doing this work, the sort of internal work, for about, I want to say 12, 14 years before I was able to look at the fact that my mother didn't protect me. So then I had a whole other bunch of on that one. That was a surprise. That was a big surprise. So, yeah.
Yeah. So did she know what was going on?
She says she doesn't. She didn't. She's passed away some years ago. And I think it's true. I think she had, I don't even know, would we call it abject denial? I mean, deep denial. And she was always asleep when this was going on. And I think probably a part of her didn't know, but I think, how could you not? I was going to say
on some level.
On some level, yeah. I mean, our rooms, our bedrooms were adjacent by one thin wall. So I respected her need to be in denial. That's how she made it through. So, yeah. Anyway. So I think the other big piece of my story is that when I finally came out to my family, my brother, in very short order, he was 10 years younger than me. At first he believed me, but then when my father denied it, he believed our father. And so he pretty much shunned me from the family and cut me off from his kids for like 25 years. And it wasn't until he died that his daughter, she and I had been pretty close, she finally reached out to me. So we're tiptoeing back to having a relationship, but it's a slow go. But
Wow.
I would say that was the third shocker, sort of dad and then mom and then brother. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I want to say that the ballast that helped me through all of this is early on, I've started building a family of choice. And that's what has gotten me through many, many chapters of this journey. In fact, I might have, but I can't imagine coming out to my biological family if I hadn't had a family of choice to sort of fall back on,
Right.
really important. So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, first I want to honor your story and just,
Oh, thank you.
just say, I honor it. And second, thank you for sharing it. Because as we talked about earlier, with the writing, but I think the more we learn to put our stories out there, the more we're going to come together to build a world where we know it's no longer tolerated that women feel supported, or anyone, men too, feel supported in being abused, and that they can be empowered, I guess is the word I'm looking for, to stand up. I mean, I didn't have the voice to stop it. And
we also didn't have the power.
Yeah.
Yeah. We were little.
Oh, right.
We were little. So.
My poor kids. I have 3. I have 2 older boys and then a daughter who's 12 right now. And oh my gosh, try to just fill them with so much empowerment and as if they have a voice. We talked about that at dinner last night with a friend of mine, a therapist friend. I said, I never felt like I had a voice in my home. And one of the things I always did, with more so with my daughter, you learn as you go. She's allowed to disagree with us. She has to do so respectfully, but she's allowed to have a voice.
Right.
And I think teaching kids that is just so powerful.
Yep. Yes, and I worked hard at that. Being parents that are survivors is very challenging. Hugely challenging.
Yes.
I mean, I think parenting is challenging regardless, but I know that when my daughter hit the age that I was when the sexual abuse started happening, I know I had to get extra backup for myself because it was very stirring to have this young girl at that same size and age.
Yeah. Oh.
But I remember even earlier, we were visiting family and I want to say she was like 4 or 5 and she was having a meltdown about something. And there was actually people visiting in my parents' house. And I heard my mother turn to their friends and say, Donna allows Jennifer to have her feelings. Like almost an apology that why this is going on, because Donna allows these tantrums, but she says she allows her to feel her feelings, just like that. That's something I feel like you and I,
yes,
important thing in raising our kids. But
yeah. And you took that well, because I'd have been like, Mom.
Yeah. Well, a lot of things I just sort of let go.
Yeah. Yeah. And you're probably better off for it. Yeah, well, again, I know I certainly made mistakes along the way, especially with the older 2, because I was still in my chaos. Like I was still in the midst, similar to you. I didn't start to deal with all of this until I was in my 40s. And so my older boys, who are 25 and 23, unfortunately, now we've since talked and I've apologized like crazy, but I was still caught up in the chaos of it all and trying to deal with it, not realizing what was really happening on an underneath level. It was funny when I went to therapy for the first time it was in 2013, so only 6 years ago,
Mm.
when I went to finally deal with all of this. I had a list of 5 things, and it was like, I listed these things. I was in the middle of, a disillusion, divorce, but number 5, number 5 on my list was, my trauma history. So
Yeah.
these other things were up
Came
above it,
first.
as if
Yeah.
as if this was kind of like, well, we'll deal with
And
that.
by the way.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, yeah, like a little PS.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then I came to realize, holy shit,
Yeah.
like this needed to be number 1 with big asterisks and stars next to
Right,
it. So, yeah.
We'll deal with this for like 14, 20 years.
Yes.
And then we'll get to the other stuff.
Yeah, right. But I tell you, finding out about ACEs, oh my gosh, that was kind of a life-altering moment, and all the research that's coming out on that. So.
And so much, yes, there's so much going on. There's so much searching and trying to figure it out. I mean, it's mind-boggling to me.
Yes.
I started, I was a feminist activist in my 20s. And then I want to say it took until my mid-40s to start considering being an activist. And that's like, I got to do my math. That's 25 years ago. Deciding I'm going to do some activism around the issue of incest and sexual abuse. And I just figured, we're in what do I want to say? It's like a jungle, and how to get through to some light about the issue, because it's just it's pervasive, but the silence is so deafening.
Yes.
25 years ago. Not that there are still many, many places where nobody wants to hear the word incest, let alone talk about childhood sexual abuse. But it's so different now than it was 25 years ago. It's mind-boggling to me, that there's so many, there are women like yourself doing these podcasts and doing all these different projects. And I'm just like, holy crap.
Right.
That's really what I want to say. I mean, it's so encouraging. And,
yes. And I think social media has been a big part of that.
Probably.
Because a lot of people, I think, feel safe in the, hashtag Me Too world, of Twitter, because they're kind of, behind a screen. But at least it's starting to come out and be talked about and coming to the surface, and then I think some people are like, oh my gosh, having their blinders on, like 1 in 4 girls, 1 in 7 boys. What? Like that can't be right.
Right.
And similar to your mom, like, okay, I'm just going to pretend this isn't happening.
Correct.
Yeah. Well, again, kudos to you, and thank you to you for, being another one of those voices to stand up and say, this is going on.
Yeah.
Well, good. So what did you do along your healing journey? What has been most helpful for you?
Oh, let's see. Well, the writing is huge. Also, you mentioned going to therapy. I've had 4 different individual therapists over the years. Sort of graduated from, over 40 years, you're gonna have more than one. You could have more than one therapist. You probably should have more than one therapist. And within that, I've done also EMDR, which is
that's mine. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yes.
Amazing.
Yes.
It came at a juncture. I found it when I was with the whole issue with my brother, and here I thought I had done all the work, and then my mother comes out and I have to work on her. And then I thought I did all the work, and then my brother. But that's when I found EMDR, and it was at a good place. I had already done, internally, I had gotten a lot of strength from various forms of healing. So I feel like I walked into EMDR just prepped for it, and it was amazing. It was amazing work.
Yes. Yeah. And funny you should say that, because my therapist that I was seeing said to me, which I think, again, just way cool of her to be like, I think we've probably reached our limit. Have you ever thought about EMDR? And I was like, what the heck is EMDR? And started researching, and I just went straight to the top and like reached out to the local president of the EMDR national whatever here in Cincinnati and sent her this big email, just like blah. I wrote it all out, like, here's my history. And she came back and said, I'm not taking new patients, but I really want to talk to you.
Oh, how cool.
Yeah. And so I went in and met with her and her dog. She had a dog that was always in the office, Cody, who I adored. And at the end of our meeting, she said, I want to take you. I went,
nice.
And yeah, so we did 4 years. Yeah. Oh, I love her. 4 years, 98 sessions. It was a lot.
Yeah.
But wow. Yeah. Life altering.
Yes.
Yeah.
So then I want to say, along with the various therapy work I've done a bunch of body work, and acupuncture and Reiki. But cranial sacral was there. We counted, it was 59 sessions.
Wow. I'm writing that down. So
my cranial sacral therapist here in Western Mass is an angel with hands of an angel, and brilliant. And she was able to really help a lot of cellular healing for me that was beyond what I could ever have dreamed of. So, and it was hard. Some of it was really hard work, and some of it was she just did the work and I kind of faded out, and I didn't even, and that's my favorite kind of therapy, when I'm not really having to work.
Well, you don't have to do the work. Right?
I can sort of la la land, and she worked on my jaw, and amazing stuff. I
so need to check that out. I'm that person that does it all. I've done Ho'oponopono Hawaiian healing. I've done, the body healing. I've done Reiki. So I've kind of done it all because, one, I think it's all kind of added to my toolbox of coping skills.
Sure.
But I had not heard of the cranial sacral, so I will look into that.
Yeah, I highly recommend it. It's quite remarkable what they do, because it's about your central nervous system and what's going on. In your central nervous system.
Right.
And so,
wonderful.
Couldn't recommend it highly enough. Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you.
So, yeah. And then, also I've been in, support groups with women forever. That's just, and not just support groups, but circles of women friends, where we laugh a lot.
Right.
That's extremely healing.
Yes.
I can't promote laughter highly enough. You got to find the people and places that make you laugh and just go there, because it's so healing.
Yes.
Yeah.
I agree completely. We just recently found in a group of circle of friends something called Singo.
Singo?
So it's like bingo.
Okay.
Except that they play music, and so you have your card with all, like, and it has, instead of having, like B42 or whatever, it has the name of a song, and so they'll do like 70s rock, 80s, pop, and so you sit around, and so they play a part of the song, and people are just singing at the top of their lungs. And
oh wow, I gotta get that. I'm writing that down.
Yeah, so it's called Singo, and they do it here in Cincinnati. Like we're a beer town.
Yeah.
And so we have breweries everywhere, and so we have these little microbreweries, and where we found them, we go to these little microbreweries around town, and they do it on, like, Thursday night you go, and it's for 2 hours, and
wow,
oh my gosh, what a blast. And
we good to know.
Sing and laugh and sing and laugh.
Yeah. Great.
That's wonderful. So I have to ask you one of my favorite questions only because it popped into my head. If you could meet anyone in the world, dead or alive, to help you continued journey, who would it be?
Wow.
I know this one always is like, yeah.
Yeah, I know. Oh my God. Well, I'll just say the first name that comes to mind, and it's Eleanor Roosevelt. Isn't that weird? But I don't know why. She just came to my mind. I guess because she made, she's the one that got the United Nations started. She was an amazing social change activist hiding under a middle class, white privileged, not middle class, upper class, white privileged position, and did amazing things and took a lot of risks and had to take a lot of crap from a lot of people, and she kept going. So she's, she would be a person I would love to meet.
Yeah. Well, thanks for that. And
with her. Yeah.
Yeah, that's wonderful because, and I love those gut reaction responses.
Yeah.
It's almost like, it's that driving force, that person you connect with. And you're doing the same sort of stuff as her, Yeah,
kind of. It's interesting. The gut responses to questions. When I started doing my play, I would always do these dialogues with the audience, and very early on, I realized I had to just answer the first thing that came in my mind with the audience. That if I tried to think it through too much, I was going to get in trouble with myself.
Right.
So, I'm just going to trip over myself trying to be, very intellectual, whatever. So, and actually my the first performance, John, my guitarist and I did at a boys' residential facility for boys and young men who have been sexual offenders.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And that's weird that was the first place I did it. But
wow. Yeah.
the clinical director saw me do a reading and said, you have to come. So we did. And I just realized that I had to just answer these boys, and they were asking me a gazillion questions, and that I just had to answer them from the heart. I knew that if I just answered the first thing that comes to my mind, that was really from my heart, not from some sort of intellectual putting together something, So.
Yes.
So that's what I try to do all the time. It's just when I get a question that I get a little boggled, I can just say the first thing that comes to your mind.
And I love that. I don't know. It's the angel on the shoulder saying,
Yeah. Of course, now we're going to hang up, and I'm going to think of 3 other people I should have said, including her instead or something. But anyway,
that's all good. No, I love it. It's a great answer. Yeah. That's the first time I've had her, so that's wonderful.
Oh, okay. All right.
That's good. So any truths or facts that you can think of to share with the audience?
The most important thing, the thing I say the most, what the play's whole message is about, and the books really, to survivors, it wasn't your fault. That to me, if nothing else, if that's all you ever work on getting to believing, it wasn't your fault. Because I had to do a ton of work to get where I believed it wasn't my fault. That if I had just done this, or just said that, or just dust,
Yes.
And it's not about me.
Right.
What happened to me is about my father.
Absolutely.
And that was a big aha for me when I realized the importance of really absorbing the fact that it wasn't my fault. So that's probably my most important learning of this whole journey.
Amen and hallelujah.
Yes, indeed.
Yes. Any other, anything else that you want to talk about with the audience that we haven't touched on yet?
We touched on so much.
I know.
I think it's really important that we all continue to be sure we're doing all the self-care we can. Taking care of ourselves is really, really important. And, that shows up in lots of different ways, from, doing the kinds of therapies you and I were talking about, to having friends you can laugh with. And also it means knowing when to say no. I think that's another thing that we survivors have had to really learn for the first time, that it's way okay to say no anytime you feel like it.
Yeah. I still struggle with it.
I bet. And I think it's also a big issue for women.
Yeah.
That's because we're here to please,
Yes. Yes.
We're here to take care of everybody and please everyone.
Right. Right.
I get my Midwestern talking when I go into that character.
As I sit here in Ohio in the middle of the Midwest, I so related.
Let's all have nice things to say.
Yes. Oh,
Teri, it's so fun talking with you.
I know, you too. So how do people get a hold of your book?
It's called Healing My Life from Incest to Joy, and you can go to my website, timetotell.org, and the book is on the website, and it'll take you right to my publisher, and they'll mail it right out to you.
Wonderful.
Yes.
Wonderful. I know. I'm going to buy a copy, and then I want to send it to you so you can sign it for me.
Oh, okay.
I've started a collection of podcast guests who have books, and I've like, I would love to have a signed copy. Obviously, you don't have to, but if you're willing to.
In fact, my publishers here in Western Mass, I think that's I think I'll go over and sign a few copies and make sure if you order one through him.
Okay. Wonderful. Oh my gosh, that would be fantastic.
Yes.
Put you on the spot on air.
No problem. I'm just making a note so I don't forget to do it.
I so get it. I'm like menopause brain. If I don't write it down immediately, it's like, whoo, gone. So yeah. Well, this has been an absolute joy and a pleasure to have you with me.
Same here. Yes. Yeah. Thank you for all the work you're doing, Teri. This is really an important gift you're giving the world.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate it. It's, I just, I call it my soul work. I just find, again, I find such connection. I love meeting people from all over the world. The podcast has now been downloaded in, hold on, I just had the number, 32 countries.
Wow.
Yeah.
So cool.
Which is really cool. But I love, but I'm interviewing, I'm just meeting so many amazing people, and I feel so blessed to have met you. And thank you for the amazing work.
Well, it's because you're taking the risk and putting yourself out there. That's why you're having this good stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. That energy, what you put out. Yeah. I'm a big Wayne Dyer fan and reader. His stuff, and I love, his is all about, the energy you put out is the energy that comes back. So, yeah. For sure. All right. Well, I'm going to do a little closeout here.
Okay.
Everyone, thank you for joining us today. And until next time, remember to be gentle with yourselves. Thanks. Bye-bye.